Tonight, the Sioux City Community School Board voted to accept a resignation during a special meeting. The board went into closed session to evaluate the professional competency of an individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered when necessary to prevent needless and irreparable injury to that individual's reputation. Less than 30 minutes after the closed session began, board members returned to open session and passed a motion of resignation of agreement and general release of an employee. Board President Jan George, though, refused to release the name of the individual or say why they resigned, saying it's a personnel matter. The Sioux City Community School District School Board then held its regular meeting tonight, and the agenda began with citizen input. 3 people took to the podium to talk about issues related to district operations that weren't on tonight's meeting agenda. 2 of the 3 people, one of which was a former school board member, Monique Scarlett, pleaded with the school board to have transparency while searching for a new school superintendent. Scarlett said being a board member comes with a lot of responsibility, accountability, and transparency.
Any interference with a superintendent search by providing information of any type to the media is unacceptable. The district pays thousands of dollars to hire a recruiting company such as GR. Let them do their job.
Bob Fritzmeyer has 2 grandchildren who are students in the district, and he told the board it's important to have a superintendent that meets Sioux City's complex community needs.
Look for candidates who are qualified in many respects. And also I would ask that in this process that there be no interference by anyone.
During public comment, those who did voice their opinions thanked the board for the work they're doing in the superintendent search. Now, tonight was the last meeting of the school board in 2024. Sioux City Schools and Rosecrans-Jackson Centers, along with the Family Access Centers, renewed an agreement tonight for licensed therapists to provide support to students and staff within the school buildings.
This is just one of our tools that we can use, and for a school district to be able to have them come in-house, go into the school buildings to do their services. I think that's great for the kids, not losing time, educational time.
These agreements go through November of next year. The school board also approved the purchase of brand new security cameras for 21 of its buildings. The district was awarded a grant from the Iowa Department of Homeland Security to improve safety within each pre-K through 12th grade school. The grant allows the district to spend up to $50,000 per building on security camera technology. School Board President Jan George says the funds can help replace existing cameras and add cameras to the ones that are already there. The grant will also help buy new servers from Quality Telecommunications. In total, the district will spend just under $776,000 in grant money. The school board also passed the first reading of several new and updated school policies. Those policies include early retirement benefits, Title I parent and family engagement, search and seizure, curriculum review, development and assessment, graduation requirements, and the school calendar. A policy on nepotism, though, was held back due to language revisions. Also, the board didn't have enough time to discuss those recommendations further, and policies can be updated anytime the committee feels they need to.
Be brought up, yearly if they felt they need to do some wording changes. Sioux City Community School District and the Rosecrans-Jackson Center for Licensed
made quite a few changes to it.
The board will come back in January to approve the final reading of all policies except for the nepotism policy, which will be heard for the very first time.